Hey guys, I'm very passionate about what I do here at Marketing Solutions for Local Law Firms. I'm very passionate about bringing you marketing strategies that really work for your firm. And today in this Meet the Attorney episode, I'm going to introduce you to a person that is just as passionate of what she does in terms of family law. She's based out of Tampa, Florida, and she really, really, really gets involved in the outcome for her customers. And I'm sure you're going to get the gist of that once you hear what she's all about. So without further ado, I'm going to bring you right into the show.
Hello and welcome to Marketing Solutions for Local Law Firms, the podcast that provides you with all the latest digital marketing tools, tips, and strategies you will need to implement in order to stay ahead of your competition. If you are looking to substantially increase your caseload in the next 6 months, this is the podcast for you. And now, here's the host of our show, the local business guy himself, Frank Deming.
Hello, everyone. This is Frank Deming, the local business guy, and welcome to another episode of Marketing Solutions for Local Law Firms. Happy Wednesday. Happy Hump Day, everyone. I hope you guys are having a rocking week thus far. Today is, of course, another Meet the Attorney episode, and I have a great guest today. We're going to have a topic it's been a while since we've talked about on this show. It's all about family law. And I have with you one of the greatest family law attorneys in the country. Her name is the great Shazia Sparkman. Hello, Shazia. How's it going?
Hi, good afternoon. Well, what an amazing intro. Thank you so much, Frank.
Hey, anytime. I'm happy that you are here. I said a few things about you already in the pre-intro, but in your own words, who are you? What do you do?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you. So as you said, I practice family law, primarily in the Tampa, Florida area, but have recently expanded to offer consulting services nationwide, actually, in high conflict, complex family law custody cases. So the bulk of my practice, and when I say bulk, 95% of my practice is devoted to family law cases in which there are children's issues, predominantly. And I either lead the case as the trial litigator, or I lead the case in terms of trial consulting and strategy.
Awesome. So talk to me about that. That was a little curveball there, and I did some research on you, but I didn't know about this consulting thing. So talk to me a little bit about that. I think people would love to know what is it that you offer.
So I think when you go beyond what we would consider a typical divorce custody case, all divorce custody cases are going to involve some element of parenting plans, parenting issues, time sharing schedules, developing those. But when you go beyond that to, an unfortunate area that involves, two parents having oppositional views on what parenting should or needs to look like for their child, you go into a terrain that requires, what I consider, essentially building a team. And you're hoping that you're building your team that's going to impart the right strategy for the child at the end of the day. But you're developing the strategy in order to hopefully come up with what the end result is, which is, where do these children need to be? What does their life need to look like? What is going to be best for them? And that's nationwide. It's not limited to Florida. This concept of best interest of a child is a nationwide concept. State to state, you can find that while there may be different nuances of what is the best interest of a child, and let's say New York State, there might be one factor that might be a little bit more specific. Every state in the United States considers the best interest. And so when we get to these extremely complex cases involving sensitive issues related to children, the strategy part comes in how do you set up your case? What is it that we're trying to accomplish for the children? What are the issues? Is child abuse an element? Is the one of the parents being absent for a long period of time for reasons that are outside of their control? Is that one of the reasons? Is it as innocuous as the parent, was stationed overseas for 10 years of the child's life, and now you have a reunification issue? Any of those reasons can contribute to the necessity of both building a team and then laying out a strategy that is going to helpfully facilitate the court in reaching what the best interest of the child is.
So the target market for this consultant services is the actual parent. It's not. It's okay.
It's
awesome.
either the parent, or we get brought on from either experts that are already involved in a case. So, for example, recently, I had a consultation with an attorney out in Texas who was connected to me through an expert. And by expert, I mean a psychotherapist who worked previously with me on a Florida case, who's now involved in the Texas case. And so that trial attorney was consulting with me to be brought on as a sort of neutral, behind the scenes work product expert. So, that's quite a distinction between being the front and center lead attorney. You're going into the courtroom and you're trying the case, versus you're sitting down in the conference room with the attorney and strategizing on what should be presented prior to that attorney presenting.
Gotcha. Awesome. So let's talk the D word. Let's talk divorce. So you've been working with obviously family law is more than just divorce, but I want to start with that. Why should anyone in the Tampa area hire you over someone else when it comes to a divorce? I mean, tell me, it's just time to brag here, Shazia. I know you're a very humble lady, but time to brag. Why you and not someone else?
Well, I'm not good at bragging, but I'm sure a lot of people say that. But I'll tell you, and I don't know if this is quite the answer directly to the point of why they should hire me, but what I offer that I feel is distinct and my firm offers, and the culture that I've really cultivated over the years is both as a direct result of my own experiences practicing law and being front and center, seeing what works and what doesn't work, and experiencing it firsthand also. Putting the family dynamic front and center in every single case uniquely, as opposed to looking at every single case from simply the statutory lens. And what I mean by that is every case that comes in, you can say, well, you're going to need a time-sharing plan. You're going to need a parenting schedule. You're going to have to go take the parenting class. And then we can get you divorced and you'll be on your way. And hopefully both parents will get 50-50 time-sharing. That's sort of the, very summary version of what happens in every single divorce. And if you treat every single family in that way, you may gloss over what may be very unique to every single family that walks in the door, and what works for one may not work for another. And I think that is the biggest both asset and benefit, asset to the firm, benefit to the client when they come in, because what works for a family regarding a schedule 50-50 may not work for another, not because either parent is deficient or should have less time. But if you look at the nuclear dynamic, let's say between mother and father up until the time of divorce and what worked for the children, you try to emulate that and see if you can somehow mirror what they were doing so that the children's lives aren't as disrupted. And when you approach a case that way, you just find that you're offering a completely different level of lawyering to that family or to that parent who comes to you and hires you.
Gotcha. I've seen a trend up here, at least with a lot of family law attorneys here in New Jersey. I'm just kind of curious of what your thoughts are on this. So What what's your thought on mediation? Like, do you think it's a good idea to have mediation prior to any kind of divorce decisions, or based on how when someone comes in there yelling and screaming in your office, you can say, you just should go straight to it. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, it's funny because Florida, mediation is a requirement. So at
Okay.
some stage prior to going to trial, you must be able to tell the judge, we've mediated and this was the result. And or if mediation is somehow not going to be fruitful, you have to have an order in your hand from a judge who has waived or dispensed with that requirement. So one of the first two or three meetings when a client comes in to our law firm family, I do have this sort of saying that, and mediation is a very formal word of art, right? But even if you don't word it in that way, it takes some time for either of the spouses to process what's going on, how their life is going to change. Either one or both of them come in with the yelling and screaming attitude or the attitude of I want this and I'm going to get it this way. And you need an outlet for that. And it's normal and it's natural. Even if you're in the most amicable of situation, it's a life-changing, earth-shattering experience to go through. And mediation can serve as that outlet. And so I present it to them in that way that you're going to have an opportunity where nobody is judging you. You don't have a judge who's going to listen to your story and come up with an outcome based on 50 seconds of knowing you because the attorney presents it to the judge. But you're going to have a platform and an outlet to tell this mediator, what you hope to accomplish. Why do you want to see it this way? And whether or not that mediation results in a settlement, I'm telling you that 99% of my clients walk out of mediation feeling as if they've accomplished something, even if it doesn't result in a settlement.
Oh, wow. 99%.
Because they all feel like they got heard, they got to vocalize what their issues were. And there's like this feeling of relief of, I feel so much lighter. They may be mad that they didn't reach a settlement, or they may be mad that the litigation is going to proceed. But there is some level of relief when they walk out of that mediation, regardless.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I did not know that Florida required it. It's not required up here. They ask, but it's not required. But anyway, out of curiosity, like divorce is a very tough thing. It's very stressful, but I think you agree with me, I think it's mostly tough on the children. And it's, especially if there's children involved, obviously. What does your methodology, or if nothing, that's fine, does that will alleviates that situation a little bit? Because it's very hard on kids.
It's very hard. And whether you have two very emotionally intelligent and logical, rational, reasonable parents who are going through the divorce process, nonetheless, the children being caught in a life-changing circumstance is very difficult, depending upon the ages, more so than in other stages for children, because for the most part, their lives are changing in that now they have two households. So they're going from the nuclear household of one family dynamic to two. And most recently, I've used this example just because it had been recent that I had seen it. I'd randomly come across this passage from Meghan Markle. So, Prince Harry's wife,
Right.
in which she shared that in middle school, her parents had divorced, and she recalled writing a poem for an assignment for her English class. And hearing her, because it was just in passing, I was doing something and I heard this passage, and I went back to look it up because I thought this is something I could use to share with my clients, because it moved me and it stopped me from whatever I was doing to listen and actually look it up. The poem talks about how she has the greatest parents. She loves both of her parents, but she went from sitting at the dinner table with both of them to now figuring out whose house do I go to, forgetting her backpack in one house, not having what she needs to go to another. And while both of her parents tried hard, and she did not go through a messy divorce, meaning she was not the kid who was a product of a messy divorce, nonetheless, she was finding herself devastated from being caught in the middle of two households. So what I really try to impart on my clients is put yourself in the child's shoes, and not so much in what is convenient for you, at least in the early stages of the divorce. Eventually, yes, all the things that we say and hear that the professionals, mental health experts and counselors and therapists say that children are adaptable. Yes, that's true. But children are still human beings. They're not chattel. They're not property. They're not pieces of paper that need to look at a schedule. Oh, wait, it's 5:30. I have to be here now at this time. And if you look at them from the perspective of how you would feel, if you had to migrate from house to house, or even in our jobs, right? We tend to treat the entire divorce process differently, which ultimately is only going to benefit the child.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Hey, attorney, are you running a lot of digital ads or maybe even SEO, Facebook ads, etc., and you're not getting the results that you're hoping for? Have you been trying to generate leads online, and although you are getting some results, you're thinking, man, something's got to be wrong because I should be getting a lot more attention? Well, if that's you, I want to help you out. Give us a call, 888-416-7752. I'd love to sit down, find out a little bit more about your business, and see if we can help you. Now, even before you do that and before we sit down and talk, I'd love for you to go to our website, lbmsllc.com. Once you type that, you're going to see on the top right-hand corner of the page a little green button that says Free Online Report. I want you to click on that button, fill out the form, and you will be emailed within 24 hours a free online report as to see exactly what's going on in your business, how are you showing up online, and that's the first step to be able to decipher exactly what's going on in your business. So if you would love a free analysis and to help us to get you to the next level, take that action right now. Download the free online report, and that will be the first step. Then give us a call at 888-416-7752, and we will schedule some time together. So with that, I'm going to bring you right back to the show. Wow, I'm so glad I asked you that question because I don't know if my audience felt it, but I felt the passion coming out there. I see how passionate you were. And actually led me to my next question because I was curious, of all the practices, Shazia, why did you choose family law?
That's a great question. I think family law chose me.
Really?
I don't think I chose family law. Now I would say I would choose it over and over again because I don't think that there's any other practice or area of law that I would be as innately good at as I am. I could learn something, I'm sure, but I started off as a prosecutor, as you and I were talking, before we started, and I chose being a prosecutor for the specific purpose that I felt that I could impart the most good being a prosecutor versus a public defender. I always had a service kind of heart, because as a prosecutor, I could choose if I was going to bring charges against someone or not bring charges against somebody. Whereas if you're a public defender, you're assigned a case and you're going to defend the person, right? It's still a very good, noble deed. But I wanted to be involved in something where I felt like I had a direct impact. And I loved my days as a prosecutor, and I learned a lot during that time frame of being in court every single day. But one of the most important things I learned for me and about me and what I want to do in the world is, I need to see a difference in terms of at least the work I do. I need to see it and feel it. I don't need some corporation doing it. There's a lot of corporate lawyers out there whose corporations make massive, wonderful differences. I can't be that disconnected. That's just not my personality. I need that one-on-one where my hands feel the connection and the service that I'm doing makes a difference. And I feel like family, no matter where you are in the world, is the bedrock of everything, communities, society. And these problems that arise in family dynamics happen worldwide, regardless of religion, culture, race, wherever you are, whether or not there is a infraction for a red light ticket in one state versus another state. In family law, if two people get divorced and they have children, no matter where they are, there is some element of needing to determine what is going to happen to the children. And that is the aspect that I love.
Gotcha. That's that was very powerful. Love the how the another crescendo moment there for you as you started low and you just started building up, because that shows the passion. Love it. So family law is very broad. There's, of course, we talked about child custody, child support, children, talked about divorce. What within that realm, what is your favorite?
I think you probably guessed by now, but yes, the cases that involve children. I mean, right. I have a just a natural draw to wanting to impart that change and see that change. So there's this natural coaching that has developed in my practice. We call it coaching now. We used to call it counseling. The counselor at law. I used to say, we truly really become the counselor in the true sense of the word, not just counselor in terms of being just the lawyer, because you really have to guide your clients. You find them in these situations of just forgetting reason, rationality, and formally really great, prudent parents lose sight of that in the middle of a bitter custody or divorce proceeding. And so for me, the cases that involve children, again, gives me that that better and greater ability to impart changes in people's lives positively, we hope. It's on a daily basis. I mean, this morning I got something, for example, and now with text messaging and all the different various platforms that you can use for immediacy, I got a text this morning on, my co-parent said X. If I say Y, does it sound like this or does it sound like this? And being able to write something back and impart that immediate change of, you really should think about how that sounds if you word it this way, because if that was used in a courtroom, you would not want a judge to see that. So again, I mean, I think for me, the cases that involve children, I'm not as drawn to, and I know they're important. We get cases in where couples have to divide businesses that they've grown their entire lives, right? Think about that. They've grown a business. That's a tough one. I mean, one of my very first cases, we had a 25-year business that was, one of a pretty seminal business in the Florida community, running a publication together, and having to divide that after years. Think about the relationships, the goodwill that's formed in the communities. So, I mean, those are obviously elements of family law also. Not my favorite, but it's part of it.
It's part of the game. Yeah. Out of curiosity, if there's I'm just kind of curious, so I can have, I think the audience is feeling you, but I want them to feel you even more. Can you share with me, if you don't mind, what is the case that you can recall, without using names, of course, that you can recall that you felt the most proud about, that you said, wow, I really did well there. You really displayed your superpower, if you will.
That is a great question. Gosh, the time has flown. I've been doing this for 16 years, but I will say, I think I mentioned, this has been a learning process for me through the years. And I've been able to cultivate and target my practice to, as I've learned, and one of the cases that's sticking out at me as you ask this question, is the case that kind of propelled me in that direction. And that was a case that came into our firm back in 2000. And I've talked about it before in various platforms, but 2014. What was interesting about that case is the judge who was assigned to the bench took over that division about the same time as I had taken over the case. So this judge was brand new to family law, and this case had just come into my practice. And essentially, this client of mine said, "You're my last hope. I'm coming to you." It's not essentially, he actually said that when he walked in our doors. And he said, "After this, if I can't get some sort of intervention from the court, I'm going to give up and I'm going to walk away from my children." And so we took this case, and it was my first parental alienation case. So parental alienation, when children are essentially wrongfully removed from another parent's life without justification, meaning there's no justified reason for the children rejecting another parent, but there is a period of absence between that parent and child. So there was a period of absence between this client and his children when he came into our firm. And that case, we litigated for over close to 2.5 years. And as I learned the dynamics of what is involved in parental alienation cases, we also were educating the court at the same time, because as I had said, the judge had just taken over this particular division, was brand new to family law. And we ultimately secured an order reunifying this father with both of his children after a period of 4 years of absence from their lives, with a sole custody order. And so I would have to say that it's not just that outcome when you say what is the case that you're most proud of, like your superpower, but it's everything that came as a result of that case and what I learned about parental alienation and what it can do to a parent and our legal system, and what tools we can use as lawyers to facilitate and help both judges and the courts to ensure as much as we possibly can that those kinds of broken relationships don't continue to happen, at least where we can help it.
Oh, wow. It doesn't surprise me that your favorite case involves children, by the way. But anyway, this is well, this has been really, really great. What is the website, Shazia, that people can find out more about you and your firm?
So you can go to sparkmanlawfirm.com, and we are also trying to stay on cutting edge and be as techy as possible. So the firm does have an Instagram, so that can be found on Sparkman Law Firm, and we also post pretty regularly on our firm's Facebook account at Sparkman Law Firm as well.
Awesome. I will link out to all of those on the show notes so that people can easily look at it on the show notes. I'm connected with you, Shazia, on LinkedIn. Can I put your LinkedIn on the show notes as well?
Oh yes, that would be wonderful. That's right, we are. I do remember that, and that would be fabulous. Thank you so much for this opportunity today. I really appreciate it. It was wonderful speaking with you.
Well, actually, before I let you go, I have to ask you one last question. Is there anything I did not ask you that you think would benefit the audience?
I think you were pretty comprehensive and thorough. So I appreciate you. This topic is, as you mentioned a few times, such a passion of mine that I could go on and on. So we'll have to have a part 2. How about that?
I'll definitely would love to invite you back for a part 2 of this. But anyway, Shazia, thanks for coming. Thanks for imparting your knowledge to the audience. If anyone in the Tampa area needs any kind of help with family law, Shazia is the person to reach out to. Link is in the show notes. And so I'm going to put an end to this episode. Hope you guys got a lot out of it. If you did, share it out to anyone that you know that you may think needs Shazia's help. That would be greatly appreciated by me. So until next week, this has been Frank Deming, the local business guy, and you've just been blessed by the great Shazia Sparkman. Take care, everyone. Till next week. Peace out.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Marketing Solutions for Local Law Firms, the podcast that provides you with all the latest digital marketing tools, tips, and strategies you will need to implement in order to stay ahead of your competition. If you would like to know more about the topic we discussed on the show today, reach out to Frank and his team at 888-416-7752 and schedule a discovery call with one of the marketing consultants. If you'd like to be a guest on our show, send an email to podcast@lbmsllc.com and we will put you on the schedule. With that being said, until next week, make it a successful digital marketing day. Peace out.